Hi everyone, and welcome to today's CloudTalks live session. Let's start rolling. Quickly, just the agenda. Actually, it will be very similar to our last sessions. So we'll just first introduce the problem and how we actually started to look at that in CloudTalk. Then I'm gonna do a demo and how we actually built the voice agent that we will talk about today. And lastly, we will take a look at the results plus key takeaways. And before we jump into the content, I just wanted to let you know that this is the final season of CloudTalk Labs, of this first season of CloudTalk Labs. And the intention behind this whole project was to really give you a high-level overview of how AI voice agents can be used for your business, because it's a new technology and we know it can be challenging or even frightening to implement that for your business. And so just to recap, even if you'd like to take a look at the recordings, in the previous sessions, we covered firstly how to write strong prompts, because that's the foundation of every good voice agent, not just voice agent, but even if you're working with other AI tools. In our second session, we took a look at how you can use voice agents to follow up after events and how they can call your attendees and actually book meetings for you. So more a marketing use case. And 2 weeks ago, so on the last session, we took a look at how voice agents can be used to build your always-on customer support frontline. So whether you need to cover after hours for your business, or once if your team gets overloaded and you're just not able to serve all of your clients. So the voice agent can do that for you. And that being said, we are going to close this season with a business development point of view. And it's a situation that every sales team know, at least I think so, because the reality is that we are getting leads in all forms, and some leads aren't ready for your sales team. Whether that means they are too small, they come from the wrong region, or they are just like low intent, and you can't justify the cost of your human sales team to outreach to them. But also ignoring these leads would be a mistake. And we were in a situation in CloudTalk where we were getting a lot of them. And we knew we can't just leave that as it is. So with that, I'll hand it over to Josh, and he will give us more context.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I think I'd love to start with framing it. In any go-to-market strategy that you build, your top of funnel, you have to make a decision on what the execution is going to be for different types of data that you'll have coming in. So how do you prioritize? Where do you decide to deploy physical resource? Where do you decide to deploy nurturing through marketing? There's 1,000 different questions that you ask, but in sales development, it will always comes down to we're executing on the data that's most important, but there's always that kind of conscious mind behind going, is there any more? Could we get any more than what we currently have? So this is what we went about and did within CloudTalk was, okay, our top of funnel, we've got thousands of leads coming in, as Anna said. There's no way to work all of these leads, and also the quality of them isn't equal for every single one. So prioritizing the right way, working the best data that there is to work. And then we set about trying to unlock additional revenue from the data set that was untouched. So for us, that could be low intent channels. It could be it's too small, it should be going through our PLG motion, or it could be that it's in regions that we don't typically see high conversions, and the ROI or the cost effectiveness doesn't make sense to deploy an actual human to work that data. So what we then looked at was, what if there was a way for us to be able to work that data without the intensive resource needed from humans doing it, from our SDRs, from our BDRs? So that's where Peter and I sat down. I talked through, this is the challenge that I have. I think there's additional revenue that we could make from leads that are not touched today by my team. Can the voice agent, in some way, shape, or form, help us dig into that data set and unlock additional revenue? So this is where we then went through, okay, what does a voice agent need to do? What would make something that's considered now as not a strong lead or strong enough lead to send through to sales development? What would we need to establish or identify within that to turn it into something that could lead to close one revenue for the business? So size, region, source, all of these things were taken into account. And ultimately, the thing that made most sense for us was to start with what we would consider a 1 to 2 seater. So with most businesses, you have to make a decision on where does your PLG motion start and stop. For us, we've drawn the line at 3 seats and above. It makes sense to deploy an SDR to run a qualification, to understand the use case, the needs, the value that can be added, before then handing on to an account executive to really shape and showcase what the platform could do for that prospect or client. What that means is there's a high volume of 1 to 2 seats that weren't getting worked. This is where we deployed the voice agent to work that data to unlock additional revenue. So now as we move on and going into the demo and how we actually built this, I just want to refresh. You guys would have seen this already, but just have it top of mind where a voice agent can be strong and where it's not necessarily going to benefit you. The beauty of the voice agent is it's very simple. What can cause frustration is knowing when to use it and when not to use it. So I just wanted to have this slide in here so you could see it, so you could start to think within your own orgs, within your own business, is there a need that the voice agent could solve? So with that, I think there's one last slide, which gives you the benefits of what the voice agent can do, calling instantly, following up, follow-ups, making sure no-shows or trying to recover those no-shows, sending reminders for payments or appointments, and then running check-ins, data collection. That's where voice agent thrives. Let me hand it back to you, Anna, so you can show them how we built this voice agent to cover our needs.
Perfect. Thank you, Josh. And don't worry, you will receive the slides, so you will be able to review all of this information if you didn't manage to read through it. Now let's actually go through the demo, and I just wanted to show you the whole customer experience. So basically, imagine that you come to a CloudTalk website because actually you need our services, and naturally you need to click the button to contact our sales team. And of course, we're gonna have you fill in a form, and we ask you about how many seats you are interested to have on your team. So for the sake of this demo, imagine that you will choose the option for 1 or 2 seats right now. What will happen is that you submit the form, and in 2 minutes, you would receive a call. For the sake of this demo, I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second because I need to trigger the call. So first of all, I want to give you this customer experience, and then we're going to walk through what is happening actually behind the scenes. So how we are triggering the voice agent and how the logic looks like. But first, let's listen to it. Let me just stop sharing for 1 second. I am now triggering the call, and I will receive it on my phone. I will put it on speaker so that you will hear everything. Hi there, who's this?
This is Emma, a voice agent from CloudTalk. I noticed you've interacted with our website, and I'm calling to understand what brought you to check out our services. I'd like to see if it's worth connecting you with our team to explore how we can support your business needs. Can I ask what specifically drove you to CloudTalk?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I run a travel agency, and I'm looking for a solution for our customer support.
That sounds great. So where are you looking to call from and to? And how many people in your team would need a calling license?
So I'm looking to call across Europe and US. And
Got it.
was
And
there?
how many people would need a calling license? I'm just trying to find out how many users will need a calling license. Could you please share that number with me?
Sure. So it will be around, I don't know, 4 or 5 licenses. I think in the form I selected a different option, but there is always a possibility that we'll scale the team.
Thanks for that information. So you're looking at around 4 or 5 licenses, and there's a chance to scale. I appreciate you providing those details. Just to summarize, you're from a travel agency looking for customer support solutions, calling across Europe and the US, with about 4 to 5 users needing licenses. Someone from our team will be reaching out to you shortly to discuss further.
Okay, great, thanks. All right. How was the audio? Was it okay? Okay. Let me quickly reshare back. And let's jump back to the slideshow. So this was an example call, and you could see that the voice agent called me, it would be after 2 minutes after submission of the form, and it asked me a few questions. So what's actually going on behind the scenes? First of all, how we set it up is that we have a HubSpot workflow that is actually it's working as a trigger for the voice agent. So first of all, when you submit the form on our website, there are a few conditions that need to be met, and if they are met, your contact is added to a list from which then the voice agent is triggering the calls. So I don't want to read through everything here, but basically you have to be a new client. The contact has to come in from the free trial or demo request source, of course. Here we have only tier 1 countries. The option has to be 1 or 2 seats requested, as you saw that previously. And the email domain cannot be Gmail. And of course, you need to provide us a phone number. Sorry, let me jump one more slide back. Then still before triggering the voice agent call, we clean the numbers in Zapier just to make sure they don't have any blank spaces and etc. And then we wait for 2 minutes, because imagine you fill in a form on the website and in 5 seconds your phone is ringing. So we didn't want to create that experience for the prospects. And now, after HubSpot, let's take a look at the voice agent prompt logic, because you were now able to hear it, but let's go through it. First of all, the voice agent is prompted in a way that it has to introduce itself. Of course, it's a sales development representative, and it has to qualify leads and collect information about the business. Secondly, that's the most important part, of course, is the data collection. And there are 3 qualifying questions that the voice agent has to ask. So first of all, what brought the prospect to our service? Second of all, what is the region they are looking to call from and to? And third of all, this is the most important one, how many people would need a calling license? Based on the last response, we are then looking at the result logic, and there are 2 options. Already, like Josh actually said, if there are more than 3 seats, the voice agent is prompted to tell the prospect that someone from our team will be in touch very shortly. If it's less than 3 seats, actually, it's prompted to offer a free trial of our services. So we saw the HubSpot workflow, then followed by the voice agent workflow. And now, actually, of course, we need a human follow-up. So in the case, if there are more than 3 seats, we have our SDR team engaged. So the voice agent actually updates record in HubSpot, and this triggers an automatic Slack notification for our SDRs based on their region. And if they don't have any other meetings booked or they are free, they typically engaged with the prospect within 30 minutes. So this is basically the whole journey from submitting the form until someone from CloudTalk reaches out to you in this case. Okay, I hope I am not forgetting anything. And now let's walk through the results, and I'm going to hand it over to Josh.
Thanks. Yeah. So I think the proof is in the pudding. When you run a test, you want to retrospectively look back and go, okay, how did it do? Do we continue? So we've been running it since March. So far to date, it's called 5,839 leads. So quite a high volume, of which 894 were pre-qualified. To emphasize that number, that's 894 leads that we would not have otherwise worked unless the voice agent called. From that 894, we created 124 MQLs. So the MQLs that come through to our team, they're ready to go. And 44 actually turned into a lead, which an account executive is now working either in process or is closed. So some great statistics. For me, what was huge was this. Had I have wanted to go down a traditional route and test out, okay, can we generate more revenue from this? Of the 5.8K leads, it would have taken around 392 man hours to work through that data set. That's roughly 3 reps that it took that I didn't have to spend. The voice agent did it for us. That was the beauty. And that for me in itself was a success. It yielded data that we weren't able to touch before, and it actually generated revenue from it, which is a win-win. So how would I now, I guess, give you tips? What would I say if I were you? So I think the key thing is identifying where your long tail is and mine it. So the leads that aren't dead, do you want to surface them? Have they been written off? Can we work them? Can we generate additional revenue from something that we're not spending time on today? Small leads, low value, high volumes, quick process, very transactional. Can the voice agent lend you an assist for those types of data sets? AI and pre-qualification. If you go and speak to most SDR reps, they'll say their biggest bane is the data quality, and it will always forever be a thing in sales, will be data quality. There's motions that we can create where it can pre-qualify before it even gets to an SDR. So what they're getting is the creme de la creme, allowing them to be as cost efficient as possible. And lastly, start small. Everyone knows if you're driving a tanker, it's very hard to turn it around. If it's a speedboat, you can be dynamic, you can change tacks very, very quickly. So start small, and once you start to see results, then you can start making adjustments and growing. That would be my key takeaways that I took from doing this, but also what I would share and recommend with you guys. So thank you. Anna, I think I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thanks, Josh. Great. And we surprisingly finished on time. And now we would take a look at the Q&A. So I'm going to stop screen sharing one more time. Peter, are there any questions?
Yeah, I see a few. So let me start. Let's see. How to prompt an AI. I'm not sure about how Zoom does this, but can the participants see the questions, or should I read through them? I think I need to read through them, right?
I think so. Let's do it that way.
Yep. Okay. So how to prompt an AI agent to the right pronunciation of international names of inbound callers, which are written in foreign languages but spoken in any local language call flow, like Zuckerberg, Nachihara, or Schwarzenegger. That's a good question. And it's not really about prompting. This part is basically done by the text-to-speech because the prompt just tells the module that, okay, this person's name is Nach. And the text-to-speech module defines how it's pronounced. And there are mechanisms how you can define your own pronunciation for any specific term. However, it's not really often used for names because you have to define manually, like this term or abbreviation is pronounced this way in the language I've chosen. So it's mostly used for stuff like your product names, if you have very specific product names and stuff like that. And we can do some of those manually if needed. It's not included in the product yet. However, I can't really imagine defining all the possible name combinations there. So I'm worried there's no good solution to this at this point, and those people will just have to live with the fact that if they have a specific and local name, it will likely be mispronounced in English or in other languages.
Perfect, thank you. Then there is I will just quickly skim through this. So which languages can it speak? I can send this to you afterwards, but right now it's 60 plus languages and accents. Is that correct, right?
I think if you count all the combinations of languages and their accents, it's even more at this point already.
And there is the second part of the question. What's the failed call rates? The bot didn't understand what customer are saying or have difficult accent. Would there be any limitations of AI to support customer on technical products? And also, what would be the approximate pricing? Is it from our stock count of calls, etc.? Okay, maybe let's start with the first part of the question.
We don't have any particular measurement because it's hard to identify automatically when it failed to understand. Yes, there are cases, especially in less frequent languages, because the models are as good as the training data. This is true for any AI topic. And naturally, the speech-to-text models are trained on existing recordings and their transcriptions. And yes, they behave better for English. They behave worse for less frequent languages where they were trained on lower volume of data. And those providers often have a word error rate defined per language. So as you know, we offer DGRAM and 11 Labs as vendors, and their word error rate for their models can be found online. So if you have any particular languages that you're interested in, shoot us a message and we can either check it or look for word error rate. That's the metric you're looking for, and it defines what portion of words in that particular language the model will likely fail to understand.
Perfect. Regarding the third question of this one question, so would there be any limitations of AI to support customers on technical product? From my understanding, it would only be as or broad or limited as the technical as the knowledge base that we would be able to provide to it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. The model or the voice agent is only as good as the data you give it. So if you have a good quality documentation, which can be used as a knowledge base for voice agent, it has no problem answering even hard technical questions, but you need to give them the relevant data. Give it the relevant data.
And regarding the pricing, actually, right now we have a minute-based pricing, but we are, yes, let's say a minute-based pricing. I can send you more information about the prices actually together with the recording. And let's actually move on to another questions. We have last 4 minutes. There's another question about languages, which we already covered. And then there is an interesting question. Let's say I want to resell the voice agent with the setup service, etc. Is there any referral system? I don't think we have anything like that.
Not that I'm aware of, maybe Josh, but let's definitely talk.
Not yet. Yeah, definitely talks. Not yet, but our partnerships team is always looking into different avenues and ways to explore. So absolutely, let's talk.
Perfect. Peter, how do we control hallucinations of the voice agent? I would say this again would tie back to the quality of the knowledge base that we are able to provide to the voice agent.
Both the knowledge base and the prompting, there are several approaches. There's no one silver bullet to solve all the hallucinations, and it's a combination of good prompt, good knowledge base. The vendors that we're using are also trying to improve this quality, but yes, if you have a highly specific use case and it's very risky to have a voice agent that hallucinates, it's something to be aware of and consider. For example, especially in fintech and healthcare, we work with you very closely during the onboarding to make sure that we avoid this as much as technically possible. And the market and the technology is evolving so fast and so well that the problem is smaller and smaller each month.
Okay, now there is an anonymous question. If I have a help center with 500 articles, would CloudTalk voice agent be able to reliably answer all FAQ questions? So customer support use case, is there a limitation on the size of the knowledge base? If there is yeah, I'm gonna leave it to you.
There is, and I wouldn't recommend feeding. The only limitation is the context window size. So all the models like GPT-4.1, which you can use in our voice agent, they have some limited set of context windows. So how much data can it actually hold at the same time? Plus, the more data you feed it, the higher the chance it will take longer to answer, and it might hallucinate if you overload it with unnecessary information. We did very similar exercise internally because we were testing a voice agent, a support agent for ourselves. And what we did, we took those articles, plus we also took our support tickets, and we first ran them through an LLM to identify the most common questions, most common answers, most looked at topics, and we condensed that into a shorter set of very precise questions and answers that are covering 80% of the use cases, resulting in not that much prolonged latencies and good quality output. So again, there is a sweet spot that try and fail approach where like too much information overloads the voice agent, the too little information doesn't ensure proper answers. So you have to balance that out.
There is, let's take one last question. Is there any question in particular, Peter, that you would like to choose from the rest of these?
Let me quickly scroll through them. Can you set it to leave a voicemail message if not answered by a human? That's a good question. Yes, you can prompt the voice agent to identify a voicemail, and you can choose to either hang up instantly, or if it suits your use case, you can tell it to leave even a personalized voicemail drop. So yeah, that can be done.
Okay, perfect. I would say for the rest of the questions, we'll follow up via email if there is, or Peter, if there's any maybe super last one.
There is a follow-up to one of the existing question. Doesn't mean you're not doing RAG search on the backend. We are with one of our vendors. We're not with the second one because they don't support it. We're looking into way how to centralize it with us. So right now, RAG search is only supported if you choose 11 Labs as your go-to vendor. In Deepgram, everything is going into a single prompt. Yes.
Perfect. That's it for today's session. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Peter and Josh, for being here. As already mentioned, you will receive both the recording and also I'm going to send the pricing plus the questions that we didn't manage to attend. And thank you for joining in. We're going to start running season 2 of CloudTalk Lab soon. You will definitely receive information about that. And we're looking forward to having you here again. Thanks everyone and have a good rest of your day.